All right. We're going to see if this works. Yeah, Twitch was saying there was like a network player error. Don't know about that. I think it was probably my internet. Anyway, welcome back. Sorry about that. Yeah, internet be crazy sometimes. All right, so let's build ourselves a little level here. How's the quality? Can you guys see it? Is it good? Is it clear? Is it it's stuttering again, isn't it? Yeah. I bet money it's stuttering. Man, yeah, I lowered the quality really low. Maybe it's just my computer. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's so weird. Yeah. 60. It do be a lot. Yeah, well, we're gonna change a lot here. Still choppy? As long as it's not like hitching super bad. Probably is though. Problem is it's impossible for me to tell. I don't know if it's like just my computer or what. Oh, yeah, that's awful. It might just be my internet right now. Well, this is getting annoying quick. Well, I guess I'll keep trying this for a bit. And, if it gets bad or drops out, I'll just reboot the stream at 30 FPS. Anyway, let's see. What do I want for this level? Well, if it's okay now, I am going to not fuss with it. All right, how we feeling about tall walls in the dungeon? I kind of like them. I think Maybe we go for something like kind of brutalist, maybe. Hey, if it's looking good on your end, I think we're probably okay. Your internet is iffy at best on the best of days. Excuse me. So I think we're gonna be all right. Anyway, time to build a dungeon. Get all this light knocked out here. Boom. I'll just change all these tiles and materials later. Where is my corner slant? That's right. It's upside down. Excuse me. Is it that one? No, definitely not that one. Okay. That's it. Okay. I was using the wrong piece. I really do need to make more pieces at some point. That could be cool. Like a little... Why is it using that material? Oh, that's not good. Wall panel D. Nah, we'll do a floor panel. There we go. That looks good. I think be cool if this was like a little like crow's nest. And these could like shoot down at you from. No, I think we're gonna go with a half wall there. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. I want to keep it on that grid. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Maybe eventually do like a little railing here. I think. I don't know if I want the player to be able to get up here or not. Excuse me. Generally, as a rule of thumb, I let the player kind of get anywhere an enemy can be, but there were some instances in, say, like Halo 2 where jackals just kind of operated as snipers, and they were more or less just turrets almost, and the player could technically get to those spots, but you know, it like there wasn't like a path leading to it. Like the player would have to like kind of shimmy their way up. So I think I am kind of okay with having these like just what you would call essentially like a monster closet, and have just kind of enemies run out of them and not really have them go anywhere. Like I said, a general rule of thumb, I don't like them. I just don't think they're very interesting. I think it's better if like the level itself has, you know, continuity. Yeah, railings are definitely gonna like add a lot of flavor to these. Because I want to have these like almost like Death Star style chasms. And one thing I found the other day when I was testing just even our AI dev level, where it's just like sand and you can't really like fall to your death. There was this one spot where I was like fighting enemies and I was like shooting as I was like backing up, and I kept falling just back off that edge over and over and over. And I knew it was there. Like I built the level, and I just kept slipping off of it. So I think railings will really, really go a long way, not only to accent these levels, but also just kind of give the player that like solid little accidental border, like like railings do, like keep people from falling when they're not supposed to. Um, and I think in that case, what we could probably do is we're using that spline tool to kind of drag these rails around. I don't remember the name of it. Rebar? I don't remember. Fence? Something like that. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, so we have this like spline tool, and you can add multiple points and kind of do whatever. This is more for like the desert environment, but we could very easily build a rail system using something like this. Let me get rid of this. Rail. Yep. Excuse me. Yeah, but I think just like railings in places like this and these like little alcoves. But like I said, a lot of what I'm doing right now, it's not going to be pretty. It's basically just a gray box with some textures. You can always go back in later, change some stuff. Wanted. Yeah, something like that. But a lot of this is going to come down to going back over these areas, indenting things, adding things like pillars and just tarps and wires and just like these like computer banks. Stuff like that. These like really cool reel-to-reels that Will made. You can accent walls with these. You can use these as like, even like platforming, really. Yeah. This snap system is honestly such a game changer. Like, you don't think about it when you're building these levels. I mean, for years we used Unity and the grid system seemed fine, but having everything be able to snap to the same thing and just knowing that it's all going to line up is such a relief for rapid iteration. To be honest, yeah, I think Root would have been a prime candidate for this kind of snap system. And if we were to make Root again today, I could, crap out 10 levels like nobody's business using this kind of system. Because there was so much time just wasted just like making sure all the like vertices were lined up, that weren't like there just no gaps where you could like see into the void, and making sure everything was like lined together, and that was using the grid system. And honestly, Unreal's is very, very similar. It's it's great if you work from that same point and it's the same item over and over and over. But if you want to like build a wall over here, you wouldn't know for sure that this is going to line up. You're going to have to do a lot of guesswork. And it became this whole problem where you would build an entire room, right? Like I would build a room over here and fill it not only with all the walls and the floors and everything, and just props. And what would end up happening is they didn't line up. So you had to go through and select all these little pieces and then try and drag everything together, and the level would just lag, and it was a nightmare. So having this system, it's crazy how good it is. Honestly, we should release it at some point on the marketplace, because I think a lot of devs who want to build, especially dungeon style games, would benefit from this quite a lot. Anyway, back to our development. So, excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. The premise of this level is after you've run around in the overworld and you've, funny enough, helped an NPC with a Planet America history test. He gives you a passcode that allows you to get into a Soviet Union base. This is a base where they are kidnapping Planet American colonists, and they are converting them to the ways of the Soviet Union. So your whole goal is to just shut this entire facility down. On top of that, this is a facility that is creating moonbots, and also there is a giant flak cannon on top of the dungeon base, whatever you want to call it, that is constantly just spawning new enemies and bombarding all the settlements and NPCs in the area. So that's why you want to infiltrate this area. But it's kind of a one-way drop, kind of like come down and shoot, and then you're kind of stuck in the level. Before you can proceed too far into the dungeon, obviously we're going to let you fight a couple enemies just to, keep the player from getting bored. But before you can progress too far, you come across a door that is wrong one. That is going to be, perfect example. Like I dragged this in, and even if I drag this in on the grid, it's not the same grid system that we want for all the other things. So having to go back and forth, I was like, okay, I wanted to go to 383. Oh, well, that didn't work either. So now I gotta do that, and it's just messy. So this is a prime candidate for something we would put that snap system on. I need to half wall. Yeah, that'll do. Anyway, you're going to come to this door, and you're not going to be able to progress until you get the key code. And the only way to get the key code is finding this NPC who's going to be trapped in a I don't know what you would call it, like a conversion room, where they're trying to convert these colonists to Soviet Union commandants. And you're going to find him, and he's going to be in this glass box, and there's going to be monitors flashing red, just saying join. It's going to be it's very, very stupid. And you'll find him in the glass box, and he'll say he's been stuck here for days, and he managed to swipe a key card off of a moonbot. So you'll talk to him, and he'll say, hey, I've got this key card on me. If you can release me from this glass box, I'll gladly give it to you. So the lever will be on the other side of the room, so you'll have to run over here, pull the lever, and the moment you turn around, he's gonna be a Spetsnaz. We're gonna swap him out just as like a joke. So he's gonna make a big stink about like saying like, hey, this brainwashing stuff is super stupid and would never work on me. And the moment you turn around, he's gonna turn to this guy. Kind of goofy, but that's how we're gonna start the level. And you're gonna have to, get in a yeah, it's a spoiler, but it's so barely a spoiler, right? It's not any like key plot points or anything. But anyway, so you're gonna have to, fisticuffs with the guy and knock him out and take the key card off of him. Yeah, it's a goofy joke. Honestly, a lot of the world design and level design of McSpacebiff, half of it is kind of built with a joke in mind. Like we have this. I haven't shown anything about it yet, and we'll probably post some stuff in the Discord pretty soon. But there's this like fake company in the world of McSpacebiff called Boofs, and it's kind of like the Vault Tech stuff, but in our universe, it's a blue cartoon bison. And the premise is it started out as kind of like a Walmart, and eventually it moved to like space travel and hot dogs and houses and hand grenades, anything you can think of. And so as a result, the ship that you came in on, well, not the ship that McSpacebiff came in on, but the colonists arrived to this planet on, was a Boofs sponsored colony trip. Just like, how Viagra sponsors like NASCAR cars, and, McDonald's, has shares in like cruise liners and, whatever. So because this colonization was sponsored by Boofs, Boofs is known for mainly... Yo, Dom, thanks for the follow. But as I was saying, this fake company called Boofs is mainly known for like fast food, and then eventually like branched out into other things. But this entire trip was sponsored by Coca-Cola and Democracy Dogs. So they traveled 200 light years away to the far reaches of space in order to found this colony. And they finally get here, and they found the colony, and kind of to make fun of like corporate America, when you like have a killer quarter at a company, and you just like crushed your goals, and the company is at like an all-time high profits, and you're just like, all right, am I getting a raise? It's like, no, you get a pizza party. So in exchange for them founding this colony on the far reaches of space, and forgoing their families, and starting afresh, they get a Booth sponsored Democracy Dog and Coca-Cola party. And that's all held in the American Super Server, which is like a giant space satellite rotating in orbit. And so they had a bunch of excess of that, since you're not going to go through thousands and thousands of people's worth of stuff. And the remnants of this civilization have become entirely dependent on daily payload deliveries of Democracy Dogs and Coca-Cola, and that's all sponsored by Boofs. So Democracy Dogs have kind of become a little bit of currency in this world. I mean, not really, but it's kind of like the lifeblood of like all these colonists. And as a result, you get like guys like this who are kind of beefy. Honestly, yeah, buying bullets with hot dogs, that's peak future Americana right there. I mean, it doesn't get that much more patriotic than that. He really did. Honestly, like for we stand uh we stand someone who has a snatched waistline like that. I mean, listen, if I was eating 600 hot dogs a day and my waist was still only, the size of a regular person, that's pretty good. And, I mean, I'm sure this guy could probably, I mean, his bench has got to be crazy, right? Like, that's a 1,200-pound bench. Easy. Easy. If he's shoveling crates of hot dogs, you got to think a crate's probably like 100 pounds. Yeah, it's all muscle. He's built like he's a power lifter. You may not like it, but this is peak performance right here. Like he's not losing his gains to big poop. He's maintaining those poop macros. Okay? He's been prairie dogging it for 40 years. Anyway, on that note, back to level design. Um yeah, this is, to be honest, I've never done a level design on the fly. Um Big toilets were invented by Big Poop to sell more poop. Honestly, you got a point. Um, and speaking of toilets, a lot of this is another classic Skunk Ape Interactive uh, obsession is just toilet humor. 90% of Root, all the jokes. There's not any dialogue, but there's a lot of toilet jokes in Root. Like there's a lot of one-way mirrors with like sticky notes of like hearts looking through, and there's bathrooms where there's like 5 urinals and they're like all facing each other. None of the stalls have doors on them. It's simultaneously just a funny poop joke, but also a commentary of the lack of privacy due to, you know, I mean, just corporate surveillance, corporate slime. They want to watch you poop. They want to take your rights away. They want to take your rights away to private poops. And, yeah, that was, I don't have anything to hide, but I would like my poops in private. Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry, Will. I think you're gonna have to make another toilet. And to be honest, it should be some sort of Dr. Seuss monstrosity. Like it should have like 40 handles. It should look like you have to like dangle upside down and use a hose to use this thing. Also, it needs to be interactable, and I think we need some sort of like achievement for uh, throwing a hot dog in a toilet at some point. I think I think the people would want that. I don't know. I'm not the people. I am a people. I'm saying I want that. Okay, I want to be able to throw hot dogs in toilets, and flush them and have the hot dog violently shake as it tries to escape the toilet at Mach 9 and clip through everything, destroying the entire world. Tom, I don't like you calling us out like that. It's not that we didn't want to model a stall door, okay? In fact, there are stall doors. They're just all bolted open. So, yeah, yeah, take that. We put the effort in, and then we made a point of not letting you close it. Uh, Despite it being a stealth game, and hiding in stalls and behind doors is like a classic stealth game thing. Yeah, no. If you're QA, I'm sorry. As far as corporations are concerned, especially companies like, I don't know, like 343 or EA or like Bethesda, just to like pull a few random names out of a hat, you're you're below pond scum to them. And in fact, they find everything you do offensive, and they don't listen to you, as shown by, I don't know, any EA game ever, any Bethesda game, or any 343 game. Honestly, having a bunch of people lined up and giving like a 21 gun salute to a goldfish that died heroically in the line of duty, that's not that like out of pocket for McSpacebiff. I mean, we've got some dumb stuff planned, dude. Yeah. I know you would never know anything about those companies. Um, oh man, I wonder. This is making me think. This is a real thinker, real stinker thinker. What if, you know, this guy, you know, Kingy the King, the hot dog king, I think he needs a throne. So what if his throne is just in fact a giant toilet? I'm spitballing here. I'm looking for feedback. It's possible. It's possible. I don't know. It seems fitting. He doesn't look like the type of guy to, you know, get up to use the restroom much. It's either so it's either one of two things. It's either going to be a toilet, or it's just going to be like the Game of Thrones sword style throne, but just nothing but frankfurters and hot dogs. Just piles of hot dogs, and it's the it's like the it's the throne from the books, where it's just like 30 feet up, and there's like stairs and everything. I think that could be good. Honestly, considering their entire diet is nothing but like several 100-year-old flash frozen hot dogs and blocks of frozen Coca-Cola that are quite literally reheated on entry, they're they're not having any solid poops, dude. Like, it's everything everything's coming out just worse than it's going in. Yeah, not a disappointment. Honestly, the reason George R. Martin hasn't finished the most recent book, he's been writing lore. He's been writing lore for McSpace, but you heard it here first. Elden Ring, that was like a nice little training wheels session. We wanted to give him an opportunity to get his feet wet, dip his toes in the whole you know deep lore segment of gaming. And now that he's kind of got a feel for it, we think he's ready for the intellectually challenging and absolute, uh, just puddle deep lore that is behind Captain McSpacebiff. Oh yeah, this stream is it's no longer it's no longer level design. It's just, hey, what do you think of this terrible idea for our game? Okay, sure. Let's workshop it. Let's workshop it here together as a community, because that's more important than actually making the game. Is coming up with ideas so unbelievably stupid that it would both ensure that we never get any funding for this game under any circumstance, but also that I will have an aneurysm putting it into the game itself. I mean, listen, the premise of McSpacebiff is so stupid. Like, for one, McSpacebiff isn't even his name. His name is Mick Biff, and he's not the best of the best. He's just like some random captain, and the whole reason his name is McSpacebiff is a reference to Idiocracy, that whole like not sure scene where he's like trying to get his name, and McSpacebiff is just a computer is asking him for his name, and because it's a computer, he's dictating it as if you were to type it into a computer. So it's, my name's Mick space Biff, and the computer just registers it as McSpacebiff. So he gets it stitched on his uniform, and he gets launched 200 years into the vast reaches of space before he has anything to say about it. So these aren't okay. These aren't like huge spoilers, though. I mean, something that's going to be in the first scene, I don't think that's a big spoiler. Yes, it's a commentary on the evils of AI. Anyway, I won't talk too much more about the game. I will talk about this level, though. How y'all feeling about some just dark, foreboding chasms in a dungeon? Personally, I'm generally a fan. Oh my gosh. That's why this is looking too bright. Oh! Goodness gracious. Yeah, the community workshop is generally extra, but for being part of the very first Captain McSpacebiff Twitch dev stream on what's this? Like killing religions, random chasm. Yeah, there's a bunch of like just random drop falls. But yeah, by participating in what is the first of hopefully many less nonsensical streams on Twitch, we're getting the feedback from you, the community, all two of you. Yeah, I mean, McSpacebiff, it's at this point in development, and it's the type of game that is kind of like the equivalent of freeform jazz, where it's just, we're kind of making it up as we go. We've got some core stuff that, isn't movable, but in terms of like little quests or ideas that we have, it's very malleable at this point, right? I think I'll just copy this over here. Ramp. Oh yeah, getting crazy now. Adding elevation changes. You don't know nothing about this. Actually, I think we're going to make that a half wall. Make that something you can Oops. The 15 FPS hallway. Is it lagging again? Is the stream like crapping out? Oh man, I need a better rig. This thing is just, I don't know. It's not doing me good. Nope. I really need to change the camera on these. I can't see what half of these are just by like looking at them. Oh. I gotcha. I was afraid the stream was just crapping out so bad earlier. I was just afraid that it was getting all choppy again. But I think honestly not a bad idea, you know. Just a hallway that tanks your frame rate. I mean, Skyrim dungeons are known for having just tons of booby traps, but you know, McSpacebiff, if we just have dungeons that just absolutely make the game completely unplayable, I mean that's scarier than any game trap I can think of, honestly. Oh, yeah, it's a trap that just causes your computer to be sod, and it also uploads every private picture on your computer directly to Twitter. You know, just real cool, spooky stuff. Excuse me? Oh, there it is. That's not what I want anyway. That's also not what I want. Nice. Let's see. Yeah. I mean, CrowdStrike would kind of fit well in the whole McSpacebiff universe, honestly. Like a grossly incompetent uh, system that manages everything in the world. Yeah, does sound like something basically exactly like out of the world of McSpacebiff. Unfortunately, we're just living it. So, at what point does McSpacebiff move away from parody to just sad real world commentary? I don't know. I don't know. Oh man. Real life booby traps. Yeah. Let's do like a little half ramp here. Nope. Boom. You don't do that. Kind of hides the entrance here. Oh, you know what? No, I need to move it to this side. Oh, jeez. Hold on. Because we don't want it being visible from over here. I'm actually gonna commit the cardinal sin of turning cell snap off. I know. Don't yell at me, Will. See, I like that kind of thing because it's like, you know, from here, it looks like, you know, let's ramp up. But hey, look, little sneaky passage. Excuse me, I'm just dying of tuberculosis, I guess. Let's see, nope, that ain't it. That's definitely not it. Closer. Colder. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. Nice. Nice. Oh yeah. By the way, this is our new door. Holy crap! He's so fat. He's so big. Oh. Wow. That's Hey, Mr. Grogball, thanks for the follow. Oh my goodness. This is... Yeah, this... Maybe he needs to be a little bit shorter, because this height... This, yeah. Anyway. Yeah, the Mr. Grogball jump scare. Just an hour of quiet and just talking about fucking just kernel level DDoS attacks, and then all of a sudden you just hear this exploding sound come from a mostly quiet stream. Yeah. There. Yeah. By defeating him by ween punches, you're referring to family-friendly hot dogs, right? Because there is a hot dog eating contest that you're gonna fight him in, and the whole point of the contest is to demolish as many dogs in the allotted time. So, in fact, you are going to be punching some ween. Oh, I thought the jump scare was Mr. Grogball. But yeah, seeing, just opening a door and seeing that behemoth. Oh man, I goofed his face. Well, you can see the attempt. Yeah. Yeah, you would think we wouldn't get sued, but man, people sure do love their money. I like McSpacebiff is just prime for just references though. Oh, lost all my ammo. Excuse me. There we go. Oh yeah, shout out to Will for making these decals work. That's something that basically never worked in any of our other games. Thankfully, we picked art styles that hid that. I should probably save this, even though this is turning into just an absolute monstrosity of a... Yeah, actually, you know what? I'm not displeased with this hallway. This is all wrong. I don't... Yeah, something about just even his presence being here is throwing the feng shui off. Yeah, honestly, shout out to Unreal for not being a an engine held together by twigs and chewing gum. The fact of the matter is, we moved over to Unreal before that whole Unity debacle. I mean, that was just the cherry on top, but there was a point where we were looking into doing open world McSpacebiff in Unity, and it just, you know, all the workarounds we would have to do to have it work and run. Um, I was having to do like Blender sculpts for the terrain to get like the level of detail that I wanted. Um, Shadows just looked terrible. Everything, everything just was just really really shaky. And to like kind of prove that fact, the Unity developers for a while were trying to make an open world. It was like a 3D platformer, but it was like a kind of high quality, what you would call probably AAA type game. It might have been a shooter of some kind. No, it was a third person shooter. And they couldn't do it. They gave up. They said Unity doesn't have the tools uh, to have a game like this run. And the fact that the developers of the engine couldn't make a game in their engine speaks volumes about it. Oh, base Unity lighting looks just absolutely terrible. I mean, you drag in the same assets um, compared to, you look at Godot, Unity, and Unreal. Unreal just, it stomps it out every time. And obviously, there's higher overhead as a result, and it's not as well optimized for say mobile. But if it's if the cost of your game not looking like it was made in a sweatshop, um, maybe we just don't have our game run on mobile. Godot's Godot's really really good. And what I like about it is it's the blender of game engines. It's open source and it's eventually going to have a bunch of really really cool stuff. Um, but it's not reliable enough right now for a serious project that you need to support over the years. And especially a game like McSpacebiff, we plan on iterating on it over the years, right? So we plan on taking all the systems and everything we build in McSpacebiff and then bringing it over to our next game, whether that be McSpacebiff 2 or Route 2 or Denizen or any new IP, right? Um, and with Godot not being really supported by anything other than community, it's shaky, right? Oh man, don't even joke about that. The Blender game, jeez, dude. I mean, yeah, except Blender game engine is I don't know. If Unity's held together by like twigs and chewing gum, uh, the Blender game engine is held together by just piss and vinegar and hopes and dreams. It's got nothing going for it. Actually, I think our game after McSpacebiff should be McSpacebiff remastered. And then McSpacebiff Space Punch Edition, and then McSpacebiff Remake, and then we just loop all the way back to Captain McSpacebiff. Because that's what you do. You make the same game for 10 years, and then eventually you just release that same game with the same original title. and there's basically nothing different about it in the 10-year span, and you make $1 million. That's what you do. I mean, yeah. McSpacebiff demastered, and it's just like a DOS iteration. It's like a it's just a choose your own adventure like type game from like the 90s. That'd be kind of sick, actually. That'd be like the kind of thing we would love to do as an Easter egg if we had more than 2 people on our team. And money. And time. So, yeah. Sorry, no demastered McSpacebiff. Not until we make $1 billion. Oh, demaster of the rematch. Okay, see, you're thinking like a true entrepreneur. See, I am simply but a lowly dev who does nothing but think about how I can work the hardest for the longest period of time with little to nothing to show for it. See, you're thinking about, just flipping and churning trash until you can retire to Tahiti and sip Mai Tais on the beach. See, that's the way to go, honestly. McSpacebiff as you loved it originally. Completely unplayable and riddled with bugs. Just to make it feel more authentic, not only have we included all the original bugs, we have added more. Don't you worry, there's something for everyone. Alright. I think it would be kind of cool if we had a bridge here. Give me the bridge. Now, obviously, we wouldn't use a mine bridge inside of a dungeon, but this is a blockout, and I simply do not care. This is another example of a blueprint that we've used, and it's very good because you can make as much bridge as you want. You can make 8 billion million miles of bridge. You can skew the bridge. I generally don't recommend that. It looks kind of gross. I mean, hey, listen, if it's good enough for old Todd, it's good enough. It's good enough for Skunk Ape, right? That's not true. We like to make games that people want to play. Oh, well, that's that's something that happens in Unreal sometimes, guys. I would say that's the one problem with Unreal is the crashing, right? Now, thankfully, the scene I was in is, not super, super heavy, so it should load up quickly. Oh, excuse me. Boom, boom, boom. Dungan. Did I save? No, I didn't save. No, I saved. I didn't save the bridge. Time to take a break. Yeah, no, we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna tell you to go touch grass because then you might not come back and you might not play our game again. And we need those hours racked up on Steam. We need that active player base to go up. And we need you to make, joke reviews after you've played, 500,000 hours of the game that says, it's all right, because that's what the people want. Excuse me. Yeah, not only is Unreal dying, I am also dying. Let's see. A big old fat bridge. And one more level up right there. Ain't gotta be perfect. It's just gotta be good enough. Thanks for stopping in, man. Good to have you. Thanks for peeping the first disaster of a Twitch stream. I promise they will be better from here on out. Actually, I don't promise that. I don't know anything about Twitch streaming. I will attempt to make it better. How about that? Anyway, take care, man. See you next time. You see, I generally feel bridges butted up against a wall they just don't feel as good. Like, you want a gap on either side to make it feel more bridgy, but if I move it over this way, then it's going to connect here. So I think we're going to bring in this whole wall. Oh no. Bring in this whole, there we go. And we haven't set this up on the blueprint yet, so it's not on the snap. For shame. Yeah, see, I think that's a little bit better. Because when you come in, I don't want your attention immediately on the bridge, right? And, well, you can kind of see it, but most people are generally going to look over here or over here, right? Hey, man, I'm glad you're having fun. Honestly, you know, the whole point is just kind of giving a spot for the community to hang out and kind of like just spitball ideas while we work on the game. These streams aren't going to be super serious. At least from my end. Wills are definitely a lot more technical, and you can learn a little bit more from them. Mine being level design, there's less so to teach because a lot of it is just kind of feel. So I'll just kind of be talking about whatever as I build these levels. But yeah, just talking about the game in general, letting people know what it is and kind of how we go about developing it. To be honest, I'm not hating this. I am hating that cough, though. Goodness gracious. If I stay sick and I keep doing these streams, I'm going to sound like a 50-year-old asthmatic. You know what? Yeah, you know what? I'll leave it small. Cut into there. I know I said this could be a monster closet earlier. But I also said I do prefer it when levels let you kind of go wherever you can see. Don't hold me to that, because I'm sure there's going to be cases in the game where there's just going to be areas you can't go to. Whether it just be for level design sake or streamlining sake. But I'm going to try as best I can to allow the player to go most everywhere they see. Yeah, less poop talk from his, you know. But hey, listen, I'm here to give what the community wants, and that's what the community wants. By George, I will give up every moral I've ever had and shamelessly sell out. You know what? I think I'm having one of those ideas. We're gonna go off the reserve here and break some rules. No snap kit for this. Actually, no, I hate it. Yeah, see, stuff like this, like structurally, wouldn't make a lot of sense, so it kind of bothers me. I know it's a game, but I tend to think of things in terms of just like um, architecturally and like engineering wise. Like it has to make like a little bit of sense, and this anchor point for this entire ceiling just is awful. So I think we're gonna close it up here again. You know what? Maybe what I need to do is extend. Yeah, okay, that's so much better. Yeah, that looks like an alcove you could like sit out on. Yeah, I could imagine like a computer desk or something here, and then some railing where you'd like look out and monitor something. Do I want it taller though? Maybe. I think we're gonna do that. And flip that around. Do one more there. Oh, that would be an interesting shape. I don't. Hey, no worries, man. Glad you got to stop by for a bit and see the absolute train wreck that this stream has been. It's like a train wreck because it's awful, but you just can't look away. And entertaining Damascus. I'll probably keep the stream going until about maybe 11. Yeah, I'm surprised at like how okay it's turning out, especially considering I'm not used to designing any kind of level while also talking it out and having to talk to other people. I have 2 brain cells and both of them are fighting for 3rd place. big thingy. Nope. Yeah, honestly, sometimes you gotta raw dog the level, dude. You can't go in with any sketches because then a lot of times you feel bound to the sketch, right? And because if like 90% of the sketch is good and then like 10% is like bad, uh, you kind of end up having just a bad part of the level, right? I think sketches are great for, you know, getting an initial idea down, just to kind of get a feel for what you want. But levels, by their nature, are iterative, right? You have to go with what feels right for the player, in terms of both just gameplay, but also people really, really underestimate the psychology of spaces, and it's hard to tell what that's going to feel like from a 2D sketch. So just kind of panning around and trying to think of different ideas and how you'll look at the level from different angles, because it's like something might feel really, really good from one spot, but if for whatever reason you have to backtrack through that level, or you can see that area from a different perspective, you're going to want to consider that and you're going to want to rework it. And if you have a solidified sketch of some kind, you're going to be less likely to want to break away from that, right? And you might end up compromising the actual design of the level. Um, that said, I do a lot of sketching, so only listen to half of what I say, because yeah, I have no idea what I'm talking about. Also, just panning through a level and building a level is a lot different from playing a level. Um, Something might be fun to run around in, but the moment you know, drop some enemies in, it might just, bottleneck somewhere. You find out that there's like choke points you didn't think about. You find out there's vantage points that you didn't think about, and there's so much that goes into designing 3D levels. And I'm not gonna say it's harder than doing a proper like 2D level, but yeah, it's 1,000% harder than doing a 2D level. So you know, sketching just doesn't cut it sometimes. Sometimes you just gotta hop in and start working out an idea and see if it's bad or not. Um, and I feel like a lot of people have problems where they want an idea to be perfect before they even like act on it in any way. Um, so they'll just sit there and like polish all the edges off of it, just sit there and just work it out in their head over and over and over and over and over, and they never take any action on it. And it's like, great, you have this perfect idea, but there's no actionable anything for it. Um, and obviously, yeah, like you said, Tripster. This is one of the advantages of indie, and I feel like so many indies try to either hold themselves to this like completely insane level of polish that their idea and thing must have before they execute on it, or they're on the other end where they have no idea of what they're doing and no ability and forethought or planning of any kind, and they just kind of jumble everything together like really quickly, and it shows. Like they have like all these different ideas that they're grabbing from all over the place, and they start throwing them into an engine without really thinking like, is this idea cohesive? Does this idea support my core gameplay loop, the aesthetic of the game, the story of the game, the vibe of the game, or am I just adding in things because I like that type of mechanic? You know, sometimes like so many games, like a perfect example is like crafting systems. There's so many games with crafting systems that have just been jammed into the game, and it makes zero sense for that game to have a crafting system, right? It's like they sat down and they're like, okay, well, how do we pad this out some more? How do we pad our 3D platformer? It's like, what's a cool mechanic that a lot of people like? Oh, crafting. Okay, so we'll have the character run around and collect a bunch of things and craft things. It's just like, why? It's like, if it supports your core loop, absolutely throw it in, work it out. But yeah, I don't know. So anyway, my point is there's a balance to find, and sometimes it's important to just kind of test things out and kind of build levels from the hip, design things from the hip, just rapid iteration, see what feels good, and then from there you go in and polish. Thanks for hanging out, Lawless. Yeah, it's been great having you on the stream. Nice having another dev to talk about the game with and help expound on some things when I'm too busy with my head up my ass just working on a level. Anyway, catch you next time, man. Troopser, how you been, man? How's the new gig? You liking it? I know it's kind of a big leap from the game sphere, but from what I heard, it sounds like you're liking it a lot more. Excuse me. That could be kind of cool. Yeah, if you don't have someone holding the reins on a project, or someone keeping you accountable, it can get out of scope very, very quickly and just kind of turn into a muddled mess. And I think, early on in development, it's really, really important to allow for it to get messy. Because a lot of times you have an idea of what you want your game to be, but it turns out you're wrong. Sometimes you find the game in the game, right? A lot of the best games I can think of started as completely different concepts and transitioned over time. Yeah, I understand missing working on games, man. I mean, my day job is about as far removed from game dev as it can get, but I mean the game dev scene, especially like AAA and contract, it's just brutal, man. The pay isn't particularly great for the number of hours, and Not to mention the non-competes, which, you know, that's changing, but hasn't changed yet. Yeah, I'm glad you're liking the new job, man. It's pretty sick. I mean, who doesn't love airplanes? I mean, I went to an aerospace academy for 4 years. I mean, I think what you're doing is sick, man. Dude, it's brutal sometimes. It's finding the energy and the time and everything for game dev is just, it's rough. I mean, you got to sacrifice a lot of stuff. I mean, I don't play games anymore. Um, I mean, I used to love just like hanging out with friends and, you know, playing Halo and, or like Helldivers, or, you know, things like Red Dead or whatever. But if I'm not at work, I'm working on game dev stuff these days, or you know, hanging out with a girlfriend. But it's hard to find the time, and especially if you don't have a team to kind of keep you honest about it. It's so easy to just like go, well, you know, I'm not feeling my best right now. I don't really have any particularly great ideas for a project at the moment, and everything I want to do, the scope is so huge. So yeah, maybe I just don't work on anything, and you know, that's fine. It's not for everyone. I there's been stints. I mean, there was a couple years where we just didn't work on games. um, Honestly, my job sounds worse than it is. That's just any job. I mean, sometimes it's just fun to complain about stuff, right? Um, compared to my previous job, I mean, this job is such a cakewalk. It's not even funny. That's not to say my job's easy. It's just my last job was such a mess and so mishandled. Just an absolutely toxic industry. I mean, managing websites for clients is hard enough, but when that clientele is entirely car dealers, some of the worst people I've ever met or talked to, and you're just constantly under the gun every day, just filling out a laundry list of things that they want instantly with like no notice and no gratitude or anything. Dude, you don't need to program a character controller. Unreal has so much stuff that's like out of the box. I mean, also there's like so many downloadable blueprints and kits. Um, Before we started on McSpacebiff in Unreal, we actually downloaded this. It was like it's like a third person stealth kit. It was like $50. It came with a character controller. It came with enemies. It came with like a variety of guns and animations and punching and all these like different types of mechanics that you could like iterate on. And the blueprints are already there with notes and everything, and you could iterate on it. We decided not to use it just because a lot of the stuff we wanted to do with McSpacebiff, we realized it would probably be better if we just programmed it ourselves, just for cleanliness sake, because a lot of what we are building for McSpacebiff we plan on using on other projects. So working in someone else's code in the long run just didn't make any sense. So a lot of what we've been doing in this last year has been building systems and things that we plan on using for a very, very long time. Like things like this SnapKit system. So yeah, I think last month, like mid last month, was when we initially like downloaded Unreal. So Everything in this game has kind of been made from scratch in about a year. So I'm not feeling too bad about it. We're at a point where we're kind of really about to hit our stride pretty big because a lot of the foundational stuff is done, and we're, like you can see here, I'm kind of just rapidly placing together a level. Obviously, it's not that impressive right now, but not having to build a level in Blender or Maya and then export that level to the engine, and being able to see things in real time, and they all line up and you can swap materials and everything. It's so nice. Is there any reason you picked Godot over, like, say, Unity or Unreal? Is it just you wanted to learn Godot, or you like the open source aspect of it? Because I can understand not going into Unreal. It's a little rigid out of the box. Like, it's built for very specific types of games, mostly like first and third person shooters, and then things like third person action games. Godot, to be honest, I don't know too much about Godot. I have another friend who's making a game in Godot it's pretty cool, and he's actually like a fresh game dev, and he's learning game dev in Godot, which is really cool to see. Speaking of, I think he's gonna join the stream at some point. Maybe not. Honestly, that's fair. Wanting to learn something new that isn't Unity is 100% valid, especially after that whole pricing debacle. And honestly, the fact that the CEO just seems less than interested in games in general. Unity, I think they're more interested in just, flipping assets and making money. Yeah, Unreal is, for one, it's such a heavy engine. I mean, it looks gorgeous. Things like Lumen and Nanite and Blueprint, super handy. But yeah, if you're not looking to make something along the lines of a first or third person shooter, or like a 3D action game, and like having the absolute best graphics ever isn't super important to you, Godot is a perfectly fine engine. Yeah. Yeah, dude, Brackeys. Yeah, he announced not that long ago that he was moving over to Godot, which I was happy to see because Brackeys is, you know, he's such a good starting point for so many devs. Like, if you're looking to like get a foothold in the games industry and you don't know where to start, he's such a good like launch pad. Most of his stuff doesn't get into like the real nitty gritty of game development, but I think he does a really good job of covering a wide number of topics and just like general practices. That's like a good spring off point for most people. Yeah, dude, the CEO of Unity is I don't know. There's just so many things that are wrong with the games industry right now. Um, like, it's become so focused on microtransactions, right? That you have all these studios that were making like fantastic games, like Arcane. Arcane made some of my favorite games, some of the best, arguably one of the best immersive sims ever. Like, not even of our time, just ever. Prey. Such a good game, and really overshadowed. And then, you know, just their studio was forced to make a game that they weren't really comfortable making. They lost like 70% of the studio because, the type of people who worked at Arcane wanted to make these like single player experiences with like these like really well written worlds and interesting art styles, and then they're getting forced to make these live service games, and they've never made a live service game. And then it ends up not going so great because they lost 70% of the talent because they quit because they didn't want to make the game, and then the people who were remaining hadn't made that type of game and probably didn't want to. So yeah, I think a big problem is it's kind of like the same problem you see in economics, where the middle, as time goes on, just keeps dwindling, right? Like, you have these like giant poles at the other end, and you've got the indie who's like willing to like take these like creative like risks because they don't have any shareholders that they're beholden to, but they don't have the money or the backing or the time, and oftentimes, to be honest, the talent, to make some really, really interesting ideas. Like, what happens a lot is you see these sparks of an idea that are like really, really interesting, and they'll make a game based around like a cool mechanic or a concept, but they don't have the resources and time and ability to like make that thing on their own. And then what happens is, 5 years down the road, the AAA industry has kind of like gobbled that mechanic and idea up and like churned it out. Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of iffy right now. Yeah. The fact that it's finally unionizing after like what 50 years is insane to me. Like, the working conditions, and this is kind of the problem of any passion industry, is that you're always going to have people who are willing to work in it, regardless of how crappy the thing they're making is, and how bad the working conditions, and how bad the pay, and how bad the hours. They're going to do it just for that chance of like having their creative input in that industry. And these big businesses, they take advantage of it. So having a union, I think, is going to help a lot. And also, getting rid of those non-compete laws. Those non-compete laws were insane for the longest time. Like, you'd work on a company and you weren't allowed to work on any other personal projects while you're just throwing hundreds and hundreds of hours onto like the slop pile. It very disheartening, because there's so many talented devs out there who had an idea and the ability to go like make that idea, but were so scared or just so burnt out from like the working conditions that they didn't have the ability to go make the thing they wanted. And I think the industry unionizing, and I think it's a good thing. I think we're gonna see hopefully a bit of a gaming renaissance in the next decade or so. Hard to say for sure, but I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to the stuff that's going to get made, especially with engines and tools just becoming more and more accessible and just easier to use. Um, we're going to see some pretty cool stuff in the next 10 years, I think, from some smaller studios. I think we're going to see the resurgence of what you would traditionally call double A games, where it's, you know, games with a little bit of backing, but not, not millions and millions of dollars, but, tight, small teams of like, 10 to 25 people working on something that, wouldn't traditionally be considered like a safe bet. Yeah, dude, that non-competes were just so brutal. And the fact they were being used in the way they were is so scummy, because a non-compete in its base form makes sense, right? Like if you're working for, like, say, an insurance agency, and you go and work for a rival insurance agency, and you like take all the leads and everything from the one, and you like scalp them for another, that makes sense that you shouldn't be allowed to do that because it's scummy. But it ended up becoming this thing where it's just like, no, you quite literally can't pursue work anywhere else, and you can't have a side hustle of your own, even though it's not technically competing. Like you're not stealing intellectual property, you're not like working on company time, you're not using that company's resources. um it became a thing to like own the worker, which is like super scummy. It's just like a step away from modern day indentured servitude, because you're so busy working on, someone else's garbage. You can't take the time to go work on your own thing to begin with, but to not even be allowed to do it, that's crazy to me. Oh man. Yeah, the whole anything you make belongs to us. That's crazy to me. And I mean, you see so many examples of that in like movies and stuff. Like I think Silicon Valley, like the whole first season of it was just them fighting over the intellectual property because he made it while he worked at that company. But the fact of the matter is that happens in real life all the time. It's just like, yeah, just because you were employed somewhere while you built something doesn't mean that that company should own it. You're the one who put all the effort and all the work in. You should be allowed to profit off of your own work. Let's see here. Let's start testing some feel, some game feel. Yeah, man. I mean, something I'm super passionate about, and it's it's one of the reasons I never worked in the AAA games industry. Um, I mean, we got job offers from a couple people. Back when we did MagFest in 2017. Um, funny enough, we actually met some people from Bethesda, I think, and they asked us to come work with them. But again, we didn't want to move to Maryland. Oh man. Well, hey man, don't wait around on my behalf. I'm just gabbing about nothing. I can take this offline. I mean, not gonna hurt nothing. But yeah, dude, it is nice catching up and just talking about the state of the games industry and everything in general, and you know, just kind of. Yeah, I've heard good things about it. It's just I didn't want to move to Maryland, to be honest. Too cold, especially after that blizzard. Oh yeah, it would probably help if I built a navigation mesh. Yeah. So funny enough, I don't want to like start any rumors or anything, but we presented Denizen back in 2017. Um, and Denizen had this kind of interesting wall scaling mechanic that we hadn't seen in any other games up until that point, at least like first person games, where you could like jump out and grab onto a wall and climb up that wall and then anchor to that point and then kind of spin around and jump out from there. Um, and that was one of the key mechanics in Denizen that we thought was like kind of interesting to allow the character like uh, cross gaps and whatever. And one of the higher ups at Bethesda, Maryland, one of the guys who ended up working on Doom Eternal, played Denizen, and you know, he was like one of the AI devs and one of the animators and someone else. But they weren't like just random designers. They were like lead guys, right? And turns out a couple years later in Doom Eternal, we see that same mechanic where Doom guy can like lurch out and grab onto like particular concrete bits and climb his way up and then pivot and jump out. So I I'm not 1,000% sure, but I think Denizen might have given them the idea for that. It could have just been in the zeitgeist because obviously climbing mechanics have existed in games before, but it was so similar. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no, no. We had a couple people from Bethesda sit down and play Denizen. They're just like, dude, this is awesome. How long did this take you? We're like, we've done nothing but work on this game for 6 months. And they're like, oh my gosh, dude, like, this is a lot of work for 6 months. Um, but yeah, and those were the guys who were telling us to, like, come work with them at Bethesda. But we're like, yeah, no, we live in Florida and we almost died in the blizzard on the way here. So yeah, I think we're not gonna do that. But yeah, it's something I've always had like a sneaking suspicion about is like one of those guys played it and talked to one of the gameplay designers, and our idea in Denizen kind of funneled its way into Doom. Yeah, yeah. We, to be honest, I had a love hate relationship with it in Denizen itself. Like it was cool, but I mean, some of the jumps were kind of hard to pull off. But yeah, to circle back to my point before, yeah, it's the thing where it's like indies have that space to like try out new mechanics, and then a lot of AAA's will like look at those mechanics and you know, kind of integrate them into their game with, you know, obviously more polish. Uh, let's see, I need to make a volume. Net bound. That's the whole level. Let me save this. Build. Oh, good. Is the buffering back again? Oh, man. Dude, I don't know what is going on. Like, my stream will be, like, crystal clear, 60 FPS, and then just... Yeah, dude, I don't know what that's about. That's so weird. I just need better internet, and more importantly, I need my next door neighbor to stop using my internet. By my next door neighbor, I mean my brother. Love him to death, but I'm gonna be doing these streams. It would probably be good to have internet that didn't suck. Build. Okay.